safety laws, individuals are being flagged and placed on community notification lists. This is happening without the target's knowledge, and in many countries, these community notifications are being used by corporations and others to target innocent individuals such as dissidents, whistleblowers, the outspoken, etc. In conjunction with these notifications, corporations and others are in some cases using a practice that was used in the former Soviet Union called the psychiatric reprisal. This is used as a means of
They're from the Soviet Union.
Revenge, blacklisting, silencing, or controlling members of society. Once on the notification system, warnings about the targets are sent out to every individual the target comes into contact with, thus poisoning their associations and socially annexing the targeted individual. A full definition is gang stalking is a systematic form of control which seeks to destroy every aspect of a targeted individual's life. Once a target is flagged, a notification is sent out to the community at large, and the target is followed around 24/7 by various communities that they're in.
I haven't noticed that.
The community notifications will go out to various places. Apartment rentals, future employers, stores, and communities where the target visits will all be notified. Masonic lodges, temples, churches, doctors' offices,
never see me at the
fire
Masonic
departments,
lodge.
police stations, etc. A covert investigation might also be opened, an electronic means used by the civilian spies and snitches as part of the overt and covert monitoring
Get stitches.
process. Individuals can be flagged designating them as having a history of aggressive or inappropriate behavior. This notification system will follow the target if they move, change jobs, or visit other areas. It lets the community believe that the target is a person who needs to be watched or monitored. The identity of the person and the nature of the risk must be...
Guys, you can stop watching me. I'm good. Alright, I'm fine.
While workers have the right to know the risks, it is important to remember that this information cannot be indiscriminately distributed. Individuals are being flagged without their knowledge. In many countries, these community notifications might fall under community safety and health laws. It seems that employers, educational facilities, and community centers are in some cases flagging innocent individuals as a means of revenge or controlling members of society. Maria Buffa, a former salaried employee in the personnel department at Ford World headquarters in Dearborn, Michigan, said she too was sent to a psychiatrist after she filed a sexual harassment complaint in February 1999 against a female coworker. You think maybe I am the problem. Why else would they be sending me to a psychiatrist, she said. The psychiatrist Ford selected, Dr. Edward Dorsey of the Midwest Health Center, made a report that said the only psychiatric system Buffa displayed was anxiety. Dorsey's report said that the referral came from Ford's medical department and was at least in part due to her complaints of the sexual harassment. He also noted that the Ford doctor who referred Buffa cited a couple of incidents. She was seen yelling at someone, and she had shown up at a fitness center, quote, wearing less than the usual amount of clothing for that physical activity. In April 1999, Buffa's boss fired her for the good of the company, she recalled being told. The process begins when the individual is then placed under overt and covert forms of surveillance. Everywhere the targeted individual goes, their name is flagged. In a big city, this could mean that thousands upon thousands of people are getting a notification about the target. The person is followed around 24/7. Foot patrols and vehicle patrols are used.
I am? Okay, you're making me feel special, guys.
During these patrols, a one-handed sign language is used to assist the citizen informants with communicating.
There's my one-handed sign language.
To silently communicate to any business the target enters or other areas. Gang stalking is experienced by the targeted individual as a psychological attack that is capable of immobilizing and destroying them over time.
Time's up.
Methods used to harass, persecute, and
Time is almost up.
often leave no evidence to incriminate the civilian spies. It's similar to workplace mobbing, where it takes place outside of the community. It's called gang stalking because groups of organized community members stalk and monitor the targets 24/7. Many targeted individuals are flagged, harassed, and placed under surveillance in this way for months or even years before they realize that they are being targeted by an organized protocol of harassment. What happens during the monitoring and surveillance is very similar to what happened to many innocent individuals in the former East Germany, or activists and dissidents in Russia. Many innocent people in the former East Germany would be targeted by the state, and then their friends, family, and the community at large would be used to monitor, prosecute, and harass them. The same persecutions and harassments are now happening in democratic countries. Once a person is flagged or has a warning marker placed on their file, the community becomes hypervigilant, and within this structure there is a targeted and illegal protocol of harassment that happens. Electronic means are used to monitor, harass, and torture the target. When the target tries to describe what is happening to them, it sounds as if they have had a mental breakdown. The reality is electronic means are being used to make it appear if the target has had a breakdown. The system is the mosquito that is used in the UK to break up groups of unruly people, also known as LRAD. It creates a protective shield of high-pressure complex ultrasonic shock waves. The mosquito device is being considered for banning by the European Union because it infringes on the human rights of children. It produces a power field of ultrasonic shock wave energy. The frequency range is adjustable from 7 to 25 hertz and puts out about 140 decibels of sound. Intended for mounting to vehicles for potential crowd control applications. Also excellent for keeping out pests from gardens, and hearing protection is recommended when in use. Many of these devices are easy to access and almost impossible for an unaware target to describe in a credible manner.
I'm aware.
As if they had had a mental breakdown.
No breakdown.
Unauthorized intruders are exposed to a feeling of intense
no meltdown.
Nausea, discomfort, disorientation.
You guys are waiting for that video about 9 months ago, right?
Government research is currently investigating the weapon's potential and may soon classify these devices. And I might add that they're actually illegal in the state that I am in right now, Michigan.
Michigan.
Electronic weapons are actually illegal here, but they're being used.
Interesting state to live in.
In Russia, similar means were used by the state to declare an activist or a dissident or anyone
that guy would know all about
to
Russia
be an
over
enemy
there.
of the state as mentally unfit.
It's awfully quiet
and
today.
Were institutionalized using this form of systematic
Must be having a
control.
meeting.
The closest thing to gang stalking that democratic countries have seen before this is McCarthyism, COINTELPRO, MKUltra, and Red Squad programs. Red Squad programs were used for monitoring and harassment of various groups. They've been in place for over 100 years, and they also employ informants. Civilian spies, who can also be termed community-based agents or citizens on patrol, come from every level and sector of society.
On patrol.
Remember, anyone the target comes into contact with gets a warning about the target. Just like with COINTELPRO
Citizens on patrol.
Everyone in the target's life is contacted and advised as to why the individual has been flagged.
COINTEL.
Not to discuss the notification and asked to be a part of the ongoing, never-ending monitoring process.
Oh, it's ending.
This process is covertly designed to control the targets, keep them in line, or destroy the target over time, leaving them with no form of support. These actions are
It's a good thing time's running out, huh?
A psychological operation, also known as
time.
This psychological harassment of the target is designed to destroy them over years, making them look crazy and leave them with no form of support.
It's a good thing we don't have 3.5 years left.
Actions and tasks as they are
right, Bo?
Without realizing that the structure is psychologically designed to break the target down. Worldwide programs of control and conformity have been used with equal success and lethality. What we are seeing now is a coordinated and organized effort of control and conformity in communism. Many countries around the world are currently using a model of policing called community-oriented policing. It's described as
community-oriented
It
policing.
focuses on instilling a sense of community within a geographically located neighborhood. Communities come together and discuss what values they would like to have in their community
oriented
development,
policing.
and it's also a time to discuss any problems that might be happening in a specific area. If a problem is identified, an investigation might be opened. These local programs in many countries have been forming partnerships with government-run programs at a provincial, state, and federal level. A process called deconfliction allows them to share information openly. Reports of gang stalking are not only coming in from democratic countries, but they are coming in from many other countries as well. This modern day form of control can only be funded at governmental levels, just like it has in other societies where these similar types of harassment programs have been implemented. It's all part of the system of control and conformity that has been in place for many years, a system of control with many local groups and appendages taking part. Many targets report that their information is passed and shared between country borders, and that the surveillance continues even when they travel abroad. What are the goals of gang stalking? The official goal is listed as a notification to the community to alert them of individuals who have been flagged or have had a warning marker placed on their file. It's officially used as a means of investigating or monitoring individuals who have displayed inappropriate or violent behaviors. The real goal in some cases, however, seems to be to isolate the target from all forms of support so that the target can be set up in the future for arrest, institutionalization, or forced suicide. Other goals of this harassment
Good luck with that goal.
destroy the target's reputation and credibility, make the target look crazy or unstable. Other goals involve sensitizing the target.
Do I look
to
crazy
everyday
or
stimuli,
unstable?
a form of control, which
Huh?
is used to control targets when they get out of line.
Am I out of line?
Sensitized, the citizen informants have an easier time identifying the targeted individual in public. The target sensitivity is most likely added to their file as a warning marker and a sign to watch for future reactions to. The structure of this type of notification makes the targets vulnerable. Once a community goes into monitoring mode, they unofficially work towards driving the target from the community. This can be done by making the target destitute. Secondary goals include making the target homeless, jobless, giving them a breakdown, and the primary goal seems to be to drive the target to forced suicide. This is the same thing that was done to targets of the Stasi and COINTELPRO investigations. It is a useful way of eliminating perceived enemies of the state. There are many names for this form of control and harassment. Under the gang stalking label, you will find other terms such as community mobbing, workplace mobbing, community stalking, stalking by proxy, organized stalking, cause stalking, multi-stalking.
Stalking.
It's all part of the same community notification harassment protocol. What many people do not realize is that gang stalking is just one appendage of this form of control. There are other forms of control used to repress and keep individuals in line. Other forms or appendages include, but are not limited to, mobbing, COINTELPRO, the buzzsaw, covert war, and electronic harassment. These are just some of the names being given to a very old game that is once again being played by the governments on their unsuspecting citizens. How are the targets chosen? Officially, targets can be flagged and investigated for suspected or reported behaviors. Unofficially, the targets can be chosen because of many other reasons. They can be chosen for political views. They can be chosen for whistleblowing. They can be chosen because they belong to a dissident anarchist movement. They can be chosen because they asserted their rights at work.
They can be chosen because they're chosen.
They can be chosen because they made the wrong enemy, were considered to be too outspoken, unwittingly
I made the right
investigated
enemy.
something that the state did not want investigated.
That's for
signed
sure.
a petition, wrote a letter, or they were deemed as a suspicious person by a civilian spy or snitch, and their names were handed over.
You know what happens to snitches, don't you?
It's becoming apparent that targets might be chosen for this form of control if they are not already in some way part of this controlled system. Many targeted individuals seem to be unaware of this community notification or flagging and
I'm
monitoring
quite aware.
system. Some targets also seem to be unaware that large chunks of our society are now being used as citizen informants. Who gets targeted? Targeting can happen to
anybody who
anyone
believes in God.
society. In the past, primary targets of programs such as COINTELPRO have been minorities. Targeting, however, can happen to anyone. Individuals are often targeted for being outspoken, whistleblowers, dissidents, people who go up against wealthy corporations, women's rights groups, single women,
like
minorities,
myself?
extremists, conspiracy theorists, anti-war proponents,
Conspiracy
individuals
theorist?
identified or targeted
How about
as
conspiracy?
problems at these
It's not a
community
theory
meetings
anymore.
and other
Yes.
innocent individuals. The majority of the targets are often not aware that they are being targeted in this way. When a target moves, changes jobs, the harassment still continues because they are still flagged, and a notification is still going out to everyone they come into contact with. Every time the target moves, the same information, lies, and slander will be spread out into the new community. Who takes part? People from
The
all walks
blind.
of life are a part of this system, because once a target is flagged, their information is distributed to a wide
The
range
blind.
of people, organizations, and communities. People from all races, ages, and genders. Every sector of society that you could think of is a part of this. Civilian spies and snitches include, but are not limited to, general laborers, the wealthy, secret society members like the Freemasons and the Eastern Stars, bikers, drug dealers, drug
Freemasons?
users,
I would have
street
never
people,
guessed
punks,
that.
hip-hop culture, KKK, black activists, church groups, youth groups, firefighters, police officers,
Firefighters?
lawyers, healthcare workers, storekeepers, maids, janitors, cable installers, phone repair persons, mail carriers, locksmiths, electricians, etc.
Mail carriers?
There's really no minimum or maximum age range. An article came out recently in the UK saying that they are recruiting children as young as 8 years old to be covert human intelligence sources. Public individuals that the targeted individual comes into contact with are given this warning. These community notifications started with good intentions. Workers and the community at large do have a right to be notified if they are going to encounter persons who have violent or inappropriate histories. Citizens want to be able to protect themselves.
It's beautiful out here.
However, what is happening is that this program is also being used to falsely target innocent people. Many do not understand or care that the end consequence of this flagging, this harassment protocol, is to destroy a person outright. Many people in today's society are scared, and they are willing to give up personal freedoms for a false sense of security. And if that means taking the rights away of another individual to accomplish this, they have no problem with it. Why do people participate in gang stalking?
Because they're
There are
dumb.
many reasons that someone takes part in this. Some do it for the sense of power that it gives them. They feel in control. Many wholeheartedly believe that this lets them know who is bad and who they need to protect themselves and their communities from.
Who's bad?
Others do this as a way to make friends and keep friends. It's something social and fun for them to do. They love that special feeling of monitoring and protecting their community. Many in
You're
society
special,
use the
all right.
one-handed sign language to communicate, and it's very effective in breaking down race, gender, age, and social barriers. Many believe that it also lets them know who is on their side versus who could be the potential target. Others are forced or blackmailed by the state or the police into taking part. They are told that they are part of Homeland or national security. They are told that they are being used to help
Get your headlights out!
or emotionally disturbed individuals. They see themselves as heroic
I don't want them getting
spies
pulled
for the
over.
state. Others are just local thugs or informants who are already being used for other activities, and their energies are diverted over into these community health and safety programs. Some may be given the choice of monitoring a targeted individual for a reduced sentence or expungement of their record. Others are just told outright lies and slander about the target to get them to go along with ruining the target's life. Many caring families are told that the individuals have displayed mental health issues or other socially unacceptable behaviors and might be a danger to themselves or the community at large, and that the notification is necessary for keeping a community safe. They are asked not to disclose this, however. Many are, however, just average citizens who, in the course of going about their day-to-day jobs, are being used to keep an eye out, and if flagged target does come into their vicinity, they're asked to watch, monitor, and observe the target. It's the way the society is. What are some techniques used against targets? Classical conditioning.
Don't sweat the technique.
Getting a targeted individual sensitized to an everyday stimuli. The targeted individual, over a period of months or even years, is negatively sensitized to an everyday stimuli, which is then used to harass them. It's used out in public to let them know that they are constantly being harassed and monitored. Some examples of everyday stimulus that might be used include sounds, colors, patterns, and actions.
Are you guys trying to
For
harass
example,
me?
Red, white, yellow, strips, pens clicking, keys jangling, loud coughing, loud whistling, loud smacking of clapping, loud smacking or clapping of
You already said that.
pens, cell phones, laptops, etc. 24/7 surveillance will involve flagging and following the target everywhere that they go, learning about the target, where they shop, work, play, who their friends and family are, getting close to the target, moving into the community or apartment where they live.
Getting
or across
close to the
street,
target, eh?
monitoring the target's phone,
Interesting, isn't
house,
it?
and computer activity. Then they go to isolate the said target. This is done via reports. The flagging is meant to warn the community, but they act as little more than slander campaigns. They present a one-sided assessment of the target's behavior and activity. The target is never allowed to tell their side of the story or to clear their name. This one-sided
I'm telling my side of the
assessment can
story
include false reports,
right now.
lies, and some legitimate incidents
While we still have
where the
YouTube.
target was set up. People in the target's community are told that the target is crazy, dangerous, a thief, into drugs, a prostitute, pedophile, in trouble for something, or needs to be
Would you
watched.
say pedophile?
This very flagging, in and of itself, is capable of creating paranoia and false interpretation of everyday incidents.
Oh my God, what are we gonna
It's
do?
also been shown that
They're
community
everywhere.
notifications of any kind can and do in fact create a sense of paranoia within a community. Some
Or
people
am
might
I
argue
just
that they would
paranoid?
feel more secure if they were aware of the identities of dangerous offenders in the neighborhood. But widespread community notification actually serves to heighten fear of victimization. In a large metropolitan area, hundreds of thousands of people are notified of a dangerous
You know, I'm starting to
offender's
feel like a
release,
victim here,
while only hundreds
being
come into
victimized
contact with him or her
twice,
in the
2
community.
times over.
This blanket notification propagates the belief that there are more predators in the community than ever before, and fearful attitudes among members of the public are reinforced. A vicious cycle results. Widespread notification leads to an increase in the community's fear of crime, which in turn leads to more calls.
You
for
like driving
notification.
back and forth, don't you,
We
buddy?
also argue that the use of inflammatory language such as predator by politicians and public officials also works to heighten fear and increase calls for more punitive action. They use noise and mimicking campaigns, disrupting the target's life, sleep with loud power tools, construction,
Oh,
stereos,
you mean like
door
a
slamming,
tile
etc.
cutter?
Talking in public about private things in the target's life, mimicking actions of the target, basically letting the target know that they're in the target's life. Daily interferences, nothing that would be too overt to the untrained eye, but psychologically degrading and damaging to the target over time. Everyday life breaks in street theater, flat tires, sleep deprivation, drugging of food, putting dirt on the target's property, mass strangers doing things in public to annoy targets. These strangers might get a text message to be at a specific place and at a specific time and perform a specific action. This is also known as a flash mob. Electronic harassment.
Flash mob.
Sorry, the video cut off. This flagging system allows the community to treat the targets as less than someone that they are allowed to harass and victimize. It gives them a license to do unspeakable things to innocent targets and their families. These actions might seem harmless to the citizen informants, but in reality the actions could be causing great psychological trauma for the target. For example, blocking the target's path, getting ahead of them in line, cutting or boxing them in on the road, saying or doing things.
You mean like
to
the green
elicit a response from the
F-150?
target. It's like the death of 1,000 paper cuts. 1 or 2 minor incidences will not cause any harm to the target, but over time, it may kill them. Where does the support or funding for this come from?
Yeah, I wonder.
Through the systematic harassment that the targeted individuals refer to as gang stalking is immoral and unethical in nature. Programs such as this in democratic countries and non-democratic countries have always been funded by the government. They are the only ones with enough money, coordination, and power to keep such a system in place. These coordinated efforts then join hands with others for this systematic form of control and harassment to exist. So what can you do to help? If you know someone who is being targeted in this way, please don't go along with it and participate. Don't assume that that person is guilty or a bad person. Many innocent people are currently being targeted, and people are being told lies and slander. This form of harassment is systemic, and it's about state control and conformity.
Are you guys being told lies?
The express goal of this harassment is to destroy the individual over time. If you are unaware, or if you are aware of someone being harassed in this way, subtly direct them to websites that deal with gang stalking or sites for targeted individuals. Knowledge is power. You can subtly suggest that your local newspapers or community papers print articles about targeted individuals, or even write an objective piece about
good luck with all
stalking.
that. It ain't happening.
If you're a lawmaker, you can petition for changing the laws.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Ensure targets who are flagged in this way have proper notification letting them know that they are flagged. Convicted criminals have this right. Why can't targeted individuals have this right? Many of whom are innocent members of the public. Petition for better oversight of these programs. As it stands, communities are getting away with serious human rights violations and abuses, and complaints are not being heard. Authority figures such as the police in many cases are not taking the reports seriously. If you are a lawyer, our community needs lawyers who are skilled in helping targets access freedom of information files. Lawyers who can help targets get their files reviewed or corrected. Lawyers who can work with the existing privacy laws to limit who and where the target's information is disseminated to. We need human rights lawyers who can address the complaints of abuses that are happening to
the only lawyer that's going to work is the Lord.
Illegal surveillance,
the Lord lawyer.
Access to mail and electronic communications, and torture via electronic monitoring. You can subtly offer your support to someone who is being treated in this way in very small, subtle ways. And lastly, you can just bring up gang stalking or targeted individuals to your friends or family. Thank you for your time.
So here's what we'll do. We'll focus on community policing. We will focus on
community policing.
Community policing, that's
Hey,
Bill Clinton's dialectic process where they bring in the gangs to your neighborhood.
They're parroting here?
And they use them against you, which is what they're doing.
I'm a strong Second Amendment supporter, but I got a lot of scar tissue. And let me say, at the risk of agreeing with you, community policing is a great idea.
Oh, they like the community policing.
And we fully support that. Donald Trump and I are going to make sure that law enforcement have the resources.
That's where your gang members are in community with your sheriff's department.
And so the cities and communities of this nation, it's probably
That's why they like it so much.
330,000 members of
Because they use the gangs, they actually dialogue with the gangs, and then they use them against law-abiding citizens. That's why this guy right here is a Mason, and this guy is a Jesuit Mason. That would make this guy a Mason, because the reality of it here is that this guy right here, he's actually a Jesuit too. You got two Jesuit Masons right here. Because as we documented in the Scottish Rite, the oaths of Masonry are Jesuitical, they're Jewish,
Jesuitical.
they're Gnostic. So that's why they want this Masonic dogma of the cops, community-oriented policing. That needs to go, completely go, get out. Because the police are not policing. They are doing the dialectic process for the New World Order. That's what's going on. Bringing all things to consensus with all these evil law-breaking criminals, where they want you dialoguing with them, or they're using them against you because you're a law-abiding citizen. And these criminals, that's how they keep you in line. So community-oriented policing needs to go, big time. It is Gnostic. It is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil implemented on the street level. It is evil and is wicked. So there you have it. These two Gnostics want the COPS program instituted by Bill Clinton, the Gnostic, the Demolay Mason, Jesuit, educated at Georgetown University, to be implemented. This is all Roman Catholic at the street level Gnosticism, Jesuitry, using your neighbors against you because your neighbors are the antithesis and the thesis, and the police come and sit down in your house and they dialogue you to consensus.
You mean like
the
those neighbors?
People that are breaking the laws and drug dealing and doing all kinds of evil stuff on the street.
Drug dealing.
Everything from prostitution to you name it. Some neighborhoods don't have to deal with this yet because they're still decent, law-abiding citizens. But that's what Obama's trying to do. He's trying to bring in the gangs to your neighborhood. That's what you need to realize.
Don't mind my screen, it's cracked. Looks like she's driving with a cracked windshield. You're just paranoid, lady.